listeners of the GIC. Welcome to an information sharing session with me, Grace Cavey. As usual, we are live on our social media pages, Facebook at Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, YouTube at MICT Namibia. Today we're discussing Agribank's loan recovery process and arrears relief process. Let me give you a bit of context. Given the increasing challenges posed by a myriad of factors such as climate changes, global economic conditions, and lack of market access, some farming businesses continue to perform poorly and are in distressed conditions. Subsequently, farmers, especially those with financial commitments towards financiers such as Agribank, struggle to repay their loans when they become due, since their farming businesses are not doing well. As a result, such clients fall into arrears with their repayment plan, and this triggers financiers such as Agribank to invoke recovery mechanisms. In the process, misunderstandings and friction between farmers and Agribank arise. Recently, farmers have expressed concerns regarding Agribank's recovery processes and loan collecting strategies. Some have claimed that the only agricultural bank in the country is not effectively supporting the national land reform policy, particularly when it comes to the bank's recovery process, which often ends with repossessions and auctions of their farms. Now the big question is, what is Agribank doing to assist farmers avoid falling into arrears or avert repossessions and auctions, while also supporting the land reform agenda? To unpack this issue, we are privileged to join by the Chief Executive Officer of Agribank, Dr. Raphael Garwaihe. Doctor, good morning and welcome to the Government Information Center.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Now let us start with the mandate of the bank. What is the mandate of Agribank and who do you serve?
Yeah, no, thanks for this opportunity. Agribank is a government-owned institution established through an act of parliament, and our core mandate really is to provide affordable financing to the broader spectrum of individuals and institutions within Namibia, but specifically covering the agricultural sector. So we really have a broad spectrum from small-scale farmers going through emerging commercial farmers all the way to the full-blown commercial farmers. And yeah, we really cover all that. We've got, from time to time, of course, we also do research to understand our market, and we come up with schemes and products to really service the market. What comes to mind, for example, like your women and youth scheme that is very popular, that we roll out to the Namibian nation. And we try to have a full presence across all 14 regions of the country.
Good. How is the performance of the loan book, and are your clients paying their loans?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and one has to recognize the fact that, of course, there are quite a number of Namibian clients of Agribank that really are going out of their way to honor their payments or repayments of the loans that they have taken. But of course, we also have challenges where we've got quite a number of those that are struggling to actually honor those payments. And there are a number of reasons for that. We know and recognize that agriculture is really quite a risky business. Of late, we know from the experts that the global warming is an issue. Weather is changing constantly. We are being bombarded with droughts that were never there before, or that were not as frequent. And one can look at a number of other volatilities in the market and the general macroeconomic conditions that are really negatively affecting the repayability or the repayment affordability of the farmers. So we recognize that we have got those that really honor their payment, but we are here to also see what else can we do to resolve those that are being challenged.
Okay. Having mentioned all these unpredictable conditions, given be it market or climate challenges, has Agribank explored alternative repayment models that better align with farmers' challenges?
Yeah. Well, the ideal situation would have been that, for example, we do have insurance product in the agricultural sector. Unfortunately, because agricultural sector is so high risk, we do not have insurance products being offered to the client base to actually make good and keep the farmer sustainable in an event even of a crop failure or anything else like that. And so we meaning that we now have to internalize that risk and see what else can we do in the absence of some of those mitigating efforts like risk or what is it, life insurance, crop insurance, or livestock insurance. And so what we then have started doing is to first of all understand the client, why he's not in a position to pay. And then, of course, to say, what else can we do to, for example, align your repayment methods and dates with actually the time that you're also marketing your produce? Because typically, maybe 5 years, 10 years ago, when you took a loan with Agribank, you told us that you are, because a lot of our repayments are done annually. So you told us that, you can deduct or I can do a repayment, say, at the end of June of every year. But then dynamics change, weather change, and so on, to the point that perhaps after 5 years, actually the most preferred time for you to sell your winners or whatever has shifted from June to August. But you remain with a deadline of June. So meaning that by the time you have to pay, you have not even marketed your livestock yet to be able to repay. So we say, please come forward to the bank and we can happily assist to move your deadline or your repayment date from what was June to coincide with the time that you are really marketing. The other thing is, of course, also to promote multiple income streams so that you are also not just dependent on livestock, but also you explore other avenues, for you to be able to repay. And even though we gave you a once a year payment, it doesn't mean that you have to stick to that. You can actually pay earlier or start making small payments as you are financially able to do so, so that by the time the annual deadline arrives, you have got almost just a smaller amount left to settle your amount. So those kind of flexibilities we really is what we are promoting and hoping that the clients would also adapt to.
Doctor, what happens if a client fails to repay this loan completely?
Yeah. We have a number of issues, but the first and foremost action that we take is to engage the client. We need to understand the reasons behind, why the client is not able to actually honor his payments. And based on that, we can then propose and sit with the client and say, what else can you do for you to actually repay? We've got options like you can request for an installment holiday for that particular year, provided we understand what challenges you are facing. You can restructure your loan. You can do so many other things. But I think the most important is really the fact that we need to engage on an individual basis for us to actually understand the problem and then see how we can really, given that situation, how we are going to resolve that. And we really encourage clients to come forward and engage with us rather than to stay behind until it's too late and the payments actually, or the arrears pile up as a result.
So the emphasis is on engagement between the farmers and the bank.
Very
now,
much so.
At what point does auction of farms come in?
Yeah, and contrary to popular belief, really, that Agribank is out there to, confiscate farms from clients and then putting them on auction or so. We do follow due process, and it's only as a last resort after we have explored all other avenues. For example, inviting you to come and you are not pitching, you are not coming to the party. And a number of years pass by. So by the time we really take the legal process, it's only after a number of years, after we have really failed with all the other attempts, that we would then say, and like any other creditor, we are also covered by the laws of the country. We have the right to obtain a warrant of execution by following the legal process to the point that we actually then lay claim on the asset that is due for payment. So we really, take quite a long time, even compared to the commercial banks, for example. By the time that we really take that legal action, it will be way after we have exhausted all the other opportunities.
Okay.
And of course, when we say we invite you to come and talk to us, we also offer, for example, also advisory services. Because also we realize that sometimes it is not only the fact that you go through economic shocks and droughts and so on that you are unable to pay. Sometimes it's really just also a question of management. How you manage your farm, how you keep records, financial discipline and all that. That could also be contributing factors to the failure for you to honor payments. So we have got a dedicated division that looks at training and mentorship. And we would invite the client to come forward and of course on a voluntary basis for you to say, we have got this service and you are welcome to join us so that we can hold your hand and see how we can improve the situation.
Dr. Karai, can a client still come for repayment arrangements and restructuring opportunities even when his hair file is at the legal stage?
Yes, the clear answer there is yes. Anytime you can still engage. Of course, the only difference is that if we have taken the legal course to the point that there's a court order, it means your repayment arrangement would form part of the court order arrangement. So in other words, it's no longer to Agribank that you are answerable, but it's to the legal system that we would say, look, we will give you a breather, we will give you extension, whatever arrangement that we put in place. But failure to honor that, you are actually then in breach of the legal obligation that we have agreed and you signed off for that. So yes, and if it is pre-legal, in other words, we have not taken you to the courts through lawyers, you can just come to our offices and we see how we can resolve that. Yeah.
Agribank is a state-owned enterprise that gets fully funded by the government. Why is a loan repayment so important?
Yeah, very, very important question. The loan repayment is fundamental to our existence. Remember, we are a financial institution and we have to remain financially sustainable. Now, to give you a picture, if you look at our capital requirements for a particular year, we only receive, if I give you even an example of the past financial year, what we receive from the fiscus is probably only 1/3 of our requirement for the year. And then maybe another 15% or so would be debts that we have taken from other financial development finance institutions and so on, from outside, like African Development Bank or, GIPF or so. Meaning that the other bulk, which is north of 50%, is actually from collections of these funds that we receive from existing clients that we make available to new applicants for them to also qualify for a loan. So really it is without payment from the various clients of ours, we are not going to be financially sustainable and we are not going to render the service that we are actually established for in the first place. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We understand Agribank has introduced an arrears relief program. What does it entail?
Yeah, the arrears relief program is really quite a facility that we are really rolling out at the moment. That we are, because of the fact that we see that increased trend in non-payment. That we are realizing, instead of us really running and start demanding payment and ultimately leading to confiscation or legal process, we said, is there any way we can talk to our client, understand their need, and see where we can help and provide some relief to our customers. Yeah.
Okay, so that has triggered the introduction of this initiative, the non-payment of loans.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and like I indicated earlier, you see, if you look at our loan book, total loan book, we sit at around 3.2 billion Namibian dollars. And of that, north of 900 million is arrears. We are sitting with. So we do not compare very well, even if we compare ourselves to other institutions of our like development finance institutions from the region. Those numbers are quite high. If you look at our NPLs, your non-performing loans, it's quite very high. And what we are saying now is to say, come forward and let's see how we can actually help you, and then in the meantime also help the institution to remain financially sustainable. Yeah.
Doctor, as we are nearing the end of our conversation, what offers are available under this Arrears Relief Program?
Yeah. What we have, we indicated, like typically a client would have a loan balance, and then we have got what we call an arrear balance. So this arrear balance would have a portion called penalty interest. In other words, charges that we loaded on for every day that you have been failing to pay your dues. So what we then do, what we are proposing here is to say, okay, come forward. What we will do is we look at your arrear balance, strip off the penalty interest that we loaded, and then off the balance, you are required to put a down payment of either 20% or 25%, depending on the category where you find yourself, whether pre-legal or legal. And once you come forward and you pay that portion of 20% or so, we would then completely forgive you for the penalty interest that we have loaded on that account. So it's really a way to say we provide a relief for the client to be able to then come forward. So what else do we do other than that? We also then would delist the client on ITC. So in other words, where you were listed on ITC for bad financial behavior, so to say, we would then be able to then delist you on that, and that would then also allow you to continue getting finances from other financial institutions and so on. What we also offer is what we call that voluntary advisory service that I alluded to earlier, where we invite you to say, in as much as we are also going to forgive you for this, you are also welcome to come forward and make use of our services. The other thing that, say if after a while you came through this program and you succeeded, we want to also make a showcase out of your success story. So we would invite you to share with the rest of the clients to say, I was in this financial distress and we went through this program, and this is where I am a year later, 2 years later, and really this is something that that can help me to remain sustainable as an individual, and for us as Agribank also, the moment you are sustainable, we would also be sustainable as an institution.
Now, Doctor, these area relief programs that you mentioned, are they all in effect or are they yet to be effective?
Yeah, no, good question. We have not started yet. I think, and it will be very soon, as soon as we sort out the systems, to be able to isolate that and so on. But then the announcement will come very soon. Okay. Yeah, so we are in the process, and we'll be ready in a moment. Yeah.
Okay. Doctor, we have come to the end of our conversation. Any last words for the listeners, the farmers out there?
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you. I can only reiterate that we are a bank of the people. We are established by government so that we can serve. The negativity out there that we are confiscating farms is really not our priority and our primary goal. That is not what we do. And we only absolutely do that as a last resort. We want to encourage you to come forward. We have got other interesting programs. Even now, you know that through the Ministry of Finance, we are currently rolling out that National Youth Development Fund, which is offering, funding to, prospective young entrepreneurs who want to really come forward. We have been identified by the ministry as one of the implementing agents of that. It has started. We are busy sifting through the applications and so on. So we are there to serve, and we just want to encourage you to come forward so that we engage and provide the relief that you need. Thank you.
All right. Doctor, thank you so much for coming to our studios to enlighten the farmers or the nation on this Arrears program processes recovery.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Viewers and listeners, that is all we had for you this morning. Until next time, from all of us here, it's goodbye.